We got plenty to talk about, so we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Hi guys, Joshua.
Yes, what up?
Hey James. Hey Mike.
Hey.
George is on screen. This is going to be an awesome one tonight. We love it when you're here, George.
We love it when we're here too.
All the sound seems to be working. This is our first show using the new sound equipment. Hopefully we go without a hitch. Heads up, I don't have much on my list. It's going to be a short show, guys. Let's have a conversation and make it fun.
That's what we said last week.
Yeah.
Daniel, our buddy Daniel, is running camera tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel, give us a countdown.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975.
Additional support for What's Neat This Week is brought to you by Soundtracks, two-time winners of Model Railroader Magazine's Reader's Choice Award for Favorite Sound Decoder and also miscellaneous sound with our sound card decoder. Now be sure to check out what all the fuss is about at soundtracks.com and also check out our YouTube videos at Soundtracks Videos on YouTube. As a special thank you to What's Neat video watchers, we're going to offer free shipping, so be sure to use the checkout code WNTWFREE for free shipping on your purchase at soundtracks.com.
Additional support is provided by Yelsma Graphics, America's leading distributor of quality railroad art and embroidered clothing since 1985. Check out their website at yelsma.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week show in model railroading, show number 149. I know, how did we get that far? For March 13th, 2021, I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And as I said, April just got finished. I'm starting on May, rock and roll.
Yeah.
I know, great video coming out. Also, I want to say that I've got with me a great cast, our wonderful crew. Sitting next to me, right next to me, is Sugar Fire Joshua Barton.
What up, everybody?
How about that? I've also got James Regier. Hey, James.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Got your Santa Fe mask on there. And on the
yeah.
other side, we've got Michael Budde. Hey, Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Mike Budde. And out in Skype land, smiling out here on this big monitor, I've got George Bogatiuk.
Hey guys.
Hey, George.
Happy Saturday.
We sure do miss you in person.
Yes, we do.
I know. I can't wait to get out there and see you guys again.
Yeah.
Your layout's looking good. I like the trees. I love all the colors behind you and the lighting. It always looks so good, George.
Well, one thing that's interesting is I have dimmable lights. These are dimmable LEDs, and so they have a
Nice.
dimming switch.
Very
a
nice.
special
Oh, nice.
dimmer. And then I actually have Christmas lights, blue Christmas lights under here. You can kind of see that will help create a
night
nighttime
lighting,
effect.
yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been thinking of doing something similar with those RGB LEDs and
Yeah.
sort
Oh,
of
yeah.
and sort of using an Arduino or something to program in like a 15-minute day cycle that you can sort of do night and day on the layout. I've seen that done on some layouts, and it's just a spectacular effect.
It is a great effect. Now, that's what we showed last week on the show. Joshua, you're creating a sunrise. And I
Right.
ran a couple photographs.
A sunset.
Is that a sunset?
It's sunset.
West facing, yes, sir.
Sunrises and sunsets always look kind of the same to me.
Yeah, of course.
I can tell you this technically from living here in Missouri and going out there and doing these model railroad photographs, my best sky is 18 minutes before the sun rises, because that's when I get the most magnificent purples
Yeah.
off the
Oh, yeah.
clouds. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what the magic era is, 18 minutes before sunrise. And then, of course, I get my regular shot right at sunrise, right when
Yeah.
it peaks.
Right.
But the most beautiful colors come at that time period. And so, George, how are you doing the system? And I want to know how you were making yours dim and lighten. So what system are you using to make your lights get bright and dark?
These are actually just a homemade. They're just commercially available dimmable LED lights that you can buy at the Home Depot or the Lowe's.
Yeah.
And I bought those little self-mounting screws that you just screw in the light bulb, and they're just wired in with a regular household wiring to a dimmer switch that then plugs into the wall.
How about
Very
that?
cool.
That's homemade stuff.
Now I'm
And,
just. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's all homemade, and so it's really kind of a off-the-shelf kind of thing. My only regret, and I recommend anybody who's building a brand new layout here, take their fascia and stick it out forward about 6 inches.
Yeah.
Because these light bulbs are about 6 inches long, so the point of light comes down right at the top of the car or just behind it, so the front of the cars tend to get a little bit shadowed.
Well, that's good. That's
So
a good hint.
I
Yeah.
keep these little
good
shop
idea.
lights around to kind of light the front of it up for photographs.
And you can use some foil on the front, on the back of the fascia there, and that will reflect light a lot more. That's
Yeah.
what I'm doing. I have
That's actually a good idea.
I have my little hill there, and really it's only a 2-inch piece of foam. Now what I did was I notched out the back of it, and I put it. All it is a little strip of just LED, the RGB lighting, and it's a Patriot brand. I get it at Menards because you save big money.
Save
And-
11%.
That's
Yeah.
right. It's 118 foot, and it has a little remote control clicker. I can turn it to probably 15 different light colors, and then I can dim it up, dim it down.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I can do a
That's
lot
the
of
commercially available remote that comes with
those
it.
And
systems are
and
pretty nice. And then, in fact, I think your lighting underneath your desk has a
So that's
similar
the same
remote,
thing.
so
We
that you
got
can.
it. All right,
Yeah.
I've seen those. You can buy those at the hardware store.
They have 3M tape on
Yeah.
one side, so I put one down facing up with foil on the back, and then I'm going to put another facing towards on the wall, so that can be a different color. So I can get some purples in there, some blues,
Oh yeah, that's,
along with the red and the yellow, and then I can kind of turn them as the sequence goes
Nice.
Yeah.
to different colors to make it turn down like it's going low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
George, remind me who's the gentleman that has that wonderful BNSF railroad out in Colorado where you live?
Oh, Mr. John Parker.
Okay, John Parker.
Yeah.
Picked up.
Now I'm going to show video clips of his
Yeah.
layout. And the reason I'm showing the layout is A, it's spectacular. It was amazing. When we went to his layout out there, he didn't let any of the magazines take pictures of his layout and publish them. And when we came out to John Parker's house, he said, Ken and all the boys, he said, I love what you guys are doing for the hobby. I want you gentlemen to be the very first ones out there
Wow,
to
that's-
present my layout to the world.
That's quite an honor.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
very
awesome.
much so.
I was awestruck. A,
bet.
because of the quality, and B, because of the respect that this
Yeah.
man commands. I mean, for him to say something anyway. So okay, I'm
Yeah.
tooting my horn on that. But his layout
is
is
fantastic.
the lighting.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got the day-night effect, and I
Right.
guess he must have that on a timer because
Yeah.
it works automatically in a cycle during an operating session. Would you think that's how that's set up?
I believe that's true. He was able to throw a switch for us so that it could demonstrate it. But having been to a couple op sessions over there, it does happen on occasion. So it's kind of fun to see. Definitely recommend checking out your videos on it.
This is a conversation we should have had years ago, not waiting until number 149 to talk about it.
Right.
Because in video, they say sound is your most important asset to a quality show. And there's George smiling because that's what George does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not, but on a layout, I got to tell you what, I think the way you light your layout is very important. Now on my layout, I'm using fluorescent lights because they give you that either 3000 or 5000 Kelvin daylight effect. But
Right.
it also gives you a nice even wash light, diffused.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
we've got the spotlights, all these halogen spotlights on my layout down here that highlight various parts of the
Right.
layout, the mobile home, the building, the this, the that, or even turning lights away from areas that are lit, where there's already lights and you don't want
Yeah.
to absolutely
Right.
wash
Yeah,
that
right.
light.
Right.
And then in this video that's coming out right now, the Marches What's Neat video, isn't that the one I've got John Schindler in?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he shares with us what he went through during this COVID period of time. His layout is the most operationally detailed layout in St. Louis.
As a matter of fact, I think
Right.
it was 1 year ago. That's the last layout we all operated.
We
on
were
before
exactly
all this,
1 year ago.
all
We
this
were on
happened,
that
yeah.
operate operating on that layout, and in fact, you pulled out your cell phone so you could read your cards.
Yeah.
Because one of the innate issues with that layout was he just had a row of fluorescent lights right up the center of the room. And I'm probably showing you video clips of this because we did run his layout in the January 2020 What's Neat, which shows his overall layout. But last March, we were there on an operating session, and it was dark.
Yeah.
And what he has done is he's added these LED lights that are fluorescent. They're $25 a piece. You can daisy chain them together.
Yeah.
And he added an 8-inch valance, painted the same color as the sky. And what that has done, it brings out all of the colors in his layout.
Oh, yeah.
Lighting is one of the most. Why do you want to have thousands and thousands of dollars of models that you can't necessarily see?
Absolutely.
Right.
So there's so many different ways to light a layout. There's no such thing as a right and a wrong way to do it, as long as it gives you the results and you're satisfied with it. Our body of water over here is black. It's dark. It's harder to light that layout than it is part of the layout with a lot of trees on it. And that's why the lights are spaced out the way they are down here. It's one of those fascinating things that I can't believe that we waited until 1:49 to talk about.
Well, you kind of mentioned this. It brought something up in my mind. I've always thought about we should do a segment on this, but when they always talk to people and they kind of get that little look of that you're crazy and you say, what's the color of the sky in your world? I thought about that. That would be a great discussion because the blue that we all paint for the background also has an effect.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you can't see from the angle that I have the camera here is that I also painted the underside of this shelf this light blue, the same blue is there, so it reflects down.
Sure.
Because when I put the lighting up there, that brownish haze was coming down because it was reflecting off the wood on the underside.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way that looked, so I painted that blue and it cleaned it up, and now it looks so nice and clean.
Yeah,
but
very
with
uniform.
different layouts around the country, you see all the different shades of blue and what people perceive as what they want their sky to look like.
Right.
Yeah.
And the sky even looks different depending on where in the country you happen to be.
Well, sure.
That is so true.
I've never quite seen as deep a blue as like Arizona, for example. So it's pretty interesting.
And it's always,
Colorado is the same way because you're the higher elevation.
Sure.
You've got that less atmosphere, and so the sky is that deeper blue.
yeah.
Than
Right.
when we come to the Midwest, we get back here and we've got all this humidity and all this other stuff between you and
Right, there's sort of that brownish haze with all the smog and that sort
that's
of
why
thing
the
that
sky
factors
is
in,
lighter towards the horizon.
Yeah.
Just all the atmosphere you're looking through. But
And that's how a lot of modelers do it. They literally paint their wall blue and then they feather white paint down towards the horizon, and then right where you
gets
see
hazier.
George's hills here in the background, the
Yeah.
different shades of hills.
Yeah.
Right.
And notice how the further hills are whiter than the closer hills.
Right.
They taught us that in 4th grade art class.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
The whole time they were preparing us to be model railroaders. I knew it all along.
And shop class
Yes.
and art class. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what school's all about, so
Yes.
that you can attain a model railroad degree.
Use the skills you need.
That's right, yeah.
Amen. How did we get that far off track? I see horses and Budweiser wagons on the table. That must mean James Regier's in the house.
That is right.
That's right. Well, yeah, this is the more or less the finalized mesh of all these objects. There's I think I counted like a dozen or right around a dozen individual parts, unless you count the Clydesdales. Then that adds another 8 to them. But it's enough. I designed it so that you would be able to have each of the different colors that you'd want to paint be separate parts, which makes it easier that you just paint and assemble.
Right.
It looks good.
That sort of thing.
All right, what program did you use to draw this up in?
I used Blender.
Blender, and that's
Yeah.
free on the internet, so
It's
anybody wants to start drawing things.
It's a free open source internet software that you download and you can design it on your hard drive, and it's actually a very powerful piece of software.
Very cool.
You can not only do the 3D meshes, you can also these Teamsters here, for example, started as standing characters. You can add skeletons to them and move them around just like you would actual people. So I was talking to Mike Budde about this earlier, and he has this lovely Frisco caboose where he has the conductor sort of with his knees
Hanging
bent,
off the
reaching
side,
off the
yeah.
side and grabbing orders, I think, and you can actually do that mesh right on the computer, like taking an ordinary character. You no longer have to perform that surgery where you're hacking off limbs and assembling them and doing all that stuff.
I had to reposition all the limbs and the the guy's pelvis and everything to get the right angle the way he was
And
hanging off of there. So
What kind of, what brand of 3D printer did you have?
So the 3D printer is an Anycubic Photon S.
I was going to ask that. Thank you.
And they were having a
And those have come down in price, haven't they?
They
Yeah,
have.
they sure have.
Yeah, I think I got it in November for about $270.
$270, and that is not a filament printer. That's a resin printer.
That's a resin
Explain
printer.
to us how that works.
So it's two different technologies. With the resin or with the filament printer, you have basically this weed whacker line that the printer is melting and then extruding and then layering on to create your 3D objects. And that's good for larger objects or objects where the detailing doesn't matter. But when you get down to HO scale, you got a lot of striation lines that are going on because the layers are a little bit thicker with it. With the resin printer, you have a different technology that you have this vat of UV activated resin.
Yes.
And you have an LCD screen on the bottom of the resin that shines each layer up into the resin that's about 0.1 millimeters thick. And you have your printer plate that just moves up gradually in those 1 millimeter increments. As you're printing your object. So it's pretty remarkable. And the neat thing about this is that if I want to do one Clydesdale, or if I want to do 8 Clydesdales at once, assuming I got the printer space or printer face for it, it'll take the same amount of time because that whole screen can print a single layer. Whereas with the filament printer, you're just kind of building up each individual section at a time. So
That's very cool.
yeah,
They look great, man. Everything is dynamite that you've done. Now, this week you came out and we did a photograph. And that was a photograph where you wanted to recreate this artistic print that Santa Fe did. Who was the artist that did this shot?
That was John Winfield.
John Winfield recreated this shot with all of your favorite Santa Fe locomotives that you've been working on.
Right. So it came out. It was commissioned, I think, by the Santa Fe Railroad itself. As part of the commemoration of their new super fleet about 1990.
Right.
And you had the GP60M, a Dash 8, a FP45. And then an Alco PA1, and then an F7 sort of in the back.
And I'm showing B-roll of you and your wonderful daughter out there in the backyard. It was a nice day.
Yeah, well, Renata had a really good time out there.
And then we got this gorgeous photograph that came from it. Let us show them the photograph now of the engines in the same position as the artistic rendering, which we can also show because you gave me a copy of that to show here. So there's that. And now you also, to your photograph, added the Santa Fe logo in the sky.
Right, yeah.
And that's the final shot.
That was the final shot, yeah.
So you brought it full circle.
Yeah. It turned out pretty nice, but the shot is not over yet. Well, when we have the next full moon here in March, or perhaps April, depending where I'm at the full moon in March and how the weather turns out, I'm going to do it as a night shot.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That sounds very cool.
That'd be cool.
Wow, so I was just, I'm in this crazy schedule. I was working on that N-scale layout until about 8 o'clock this morning. I know, right? Crazy. And also, I just got the April video uploaded and rendered to Joe Fugate, so I'm on time with that.
Nice.
And in that video, Campbell Rice does, I thought it was 25 minutes, almost 40 minutes of how to do scenery from start to finish.
Yeah, good.
And then our favorite Dan Michio's
nice.
in that video, and he shares with us how to program consisting in the UWT 100 throttle, which is very unusual in that it's not in a slot in your DCC system. It remains in the throttle. So wherever you take the throttle, the consist goes with you. So I thought it would be interesting to make a segment and have him explain that to all the viewers out there instead of just to me that night.
Right.
So I filmed him, and so that's what's in the April video. Just got it done, knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much, Lombard Hobbies in Lombard, Illinois, for helping us sponsor the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbies magazine. We've done 102 shows since the very first What's Neat show ran in November 2012, and that was Mike Budde simply putting some auto racks on a diorama in the backyard, and it was 45 seconds long of video.
Pretty boring.
But nobody's ever seen A, your auto racks in person, and B, the ambiance of where we shoot the photos to get the great backgrounds. So it was kind of shock video, 45 seconds of And that was our very first What's Neat video. I don't know how I got off on that. But did I mention that Michelle brought home a Tesla today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the garage, and I was like,
yeah.
it looks amazing.
I went outside and I was like, what is this? It didn't have any sound. There is no sound system, George, in a Tesla. Actually, it sounded like the hoverboard
George,
on Back to the Future.
George, you're going to have to work on this. Put like a V8 in there or some kind of big old motor sound so that sounds something throaty, you know.
Actually, you can connect our decoders to an external amplifier. So there you go. You can hook that up to some external speakers, and you can have your EMD 645 non-turbo riding on your.
Oh, that'd be awesome! Yeah,
love it.
And as long as you have that K5LA horn for when someone cuts you off in traffic, that.
That's funny.
All right, so Michelle said this whole car was computer controlled. She took me for a ride in it up Susan Road. It's dark. And all I saw was computer screens, and there's no real dashboard.
Wow.
And the whole trunk area is open. There's no motor in the front. It's an open trunk, so that's where we can put our 5-chime horns from our diesel locomotive and an air compressor. The Tesla's just set up for it. I mean, they've got one in space, so now we need one on Susan Road with horns in it.
For being electric, that looks fast, too.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's those electric motors. They have all the torque.
It's got dynamic brakes in it, so that when it slows down, it charges power back in, just like our diesel locomotives have got dynamic brakes.
Well, that's interesting too that you mentioned that. Like I was just telling Michelle that
we're getting way off topic.
Well, that I drove like a Chevy Volt, and that's one of those cars that has the motor just running a generator that charges the batteries and runs the wheels.
Okay.
And with locomotives as they are, I was just thinking, why haven't we come up with that years ago?
That's awesome. When Thomas Heil was here last week working on the computer systems, which appear to be working so far so good, you have not crashed yet, George, tonight.
Nope.
I can't tell you
coming through clean.
what we went through on the show with Lionel Strang the other week. It was embarrassing. I had Dan Michio and Lionel Strang on the screen.
Well,
and we took an hour. We crashed 3 times. The laptop was done. So that's been replaced. Anyway, Thomas Heil came over here and ran his Big Boy locomotive. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because you've seen the Athearn one, and I know somebody brought over a Broadway Limited one and ran it. That's yours.
Yeah. Barton brought that one.
Thomas Heil brought over a MTH Big Boy, and you should see this puppy smoke. And it's not because he was burning out the decoder. It was quite an impressive locomotive. Die-cast, heavy model from MTH. Obviously, MTH, I think, is retiring. So that's I guess that'll be taken over by a new company that's purchasing them.
Yeah, hopefully.
But anyway, amazing video. Thank you very much, Thomas Heil.
Yeah.
We love it when we get to see new models like that.
I think sometime we need to get a head-to-head with all the different manufacturers. Trix, Athearn, MTH.
Just lay them on the table.
Lay them on the table. Have them on the layout. Do a polling contest. Do all these things. The Big Boy race or something like that.
Hey, Ken, is that one of Denny's jackets over there?
We're talking about that tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Denny Yelsman's going to be here next week. I'm picking him up at the airport on Friday.
Yeah.
He's going to be staying here at the house, and he's also going to be staying at Campbell Rice's house.
Oh, neat.
Sweet.
And last week I gave you a jacket. I gave you a shirt.
For Mopac.
And this week, Denny sent over this Rock Island jacket.
That's a mighty fine jacket.
Oh, yeah.
And Denny said, check out his website at yelsma.com, that he has got a lot of different Rock Island
Now that's
paint
one of
schemes.
those. That's one of those like 4-axle E-unit things that. What was it? The TA. Yeah.
Right, and then there's the F7s. There's the one with all the E units on the back.
Choctaw rocket.
How
Look
about
at that. That's
Here's
quite
the blue Rock Island units.
I like that scheme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big Rock Island Herald would look great on a jacket or a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeep
Yeah, those
9.
are cool.
There's a bunch of locomotives.
And then the smaller little patch logos, great for shirts and on the sleeves. And so that's the whole lineup of the Rock Island logos that Denny wanted us to share on this week's show. We can't wait for you to be in town next week with us, Denny. It's always fun when you're here.
Looking forward
You're
to
always
that.
welcome. But yeah, rock and roll. Now, George, let me ask you, I bet you can hold up a hammerhead right in front of me right there, can't you? Now, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Hold on. It's back here.
What am I talking
I
about?
wasn't ready for this segment.
This is the new...
But yeah, it's right here.
Now, why is that hammerhead so amazing? Not just because it's made by some very smart people, but just like Skype tonight, it works when you want it to work, doesn't it?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's ergonomic. It fits in your hand, so you don't have to grip it or else it falls. You can
Yep.
hold it in your hand, and all the buttons are laid out.
Nicely
and
shaped.
You can do everything you need to do with it.
And that's
you
how
can program everything you need on our decoders as well.
That's how the
Yeah.
basic power cab system comes, and also the Pro Cab system comes with the same type of throttle, and we call them hammerheads just because it looks just like that. But this is what you've got in your layout. This works when you dial it up and you want it to work. It's going to do just what you want it to do. The screen is going to be easy for you to follow. This is just as easy as using a TV remote, Mike.
Okay.
I think you're going to be very happy with your new system when we finally get that NCE system, the power of DCC. Now, George, tell me what else is going on out there in Durango. I understand you guys are getting some snow out there tonight. Isn't Denver getting like 24 inches of snow tonight?
Yeah, Denver's supposed to be hammered pretty heavily, so I hope everybody's okay and safe up in the area. I think we're getting the southern end of that storm, so I haven't seen a single weather model that looks consistent yet. We've had some flurries off and on through the day. It's just been cold and wet mostly, but we'll see what happens. But otherwise, here in Durango, I mean, we keep pushing through a whole lot of stuff going on. We've got new products with soundtracks going, and we actually have a new discount code for our What's Neat viewers.
Is that right?
And that's WNTW free, and that's to get you free shipping on your order at soundtracks.com.
WNTW free. And so that
That's right.
any of my orders
free,
that I make
free.
at soundtracks.com, buying decoders, buying speakers, buying the sound system with the big subwoofer I can put onto the table, all the cool
Yes, sir.
stuff that you guys have got on your website includes wires, wiring, and there's so many other things on your website. What's that?
That's a
Tsunami.
digital sound
This
decoder.
is one of our newer products. It's a 21P NEM8. It's an 8-function 21P decoder.
Oh,
and
nice.
Ken, I'm going to show you really quickly how easy this is to install it. And these are
That's-
available today on our website. So we take the decoder out of the package.
Yes.
And in front of me here today, Daniel, I know you'll get a little jealous by seeing this.
Daniel
but I
can
got
hear
the,
you.
Ooh,
the
look at
Desert
that.
Storm unit. And I took the couplers out, and the shell just lifts right off. Now, I'm doing this without a table, so bear with me here as I try to coordinate my hands.
You are going to install a decoder without a table.
We're gonna install the
One-handed,
decoder
no
without a
less.
table. So you can
One-handed
see
installation here.
we have a motherboard right here.
Yes.
Yep.
And the cool thing about this motherboard is it does have outputs for 8 lights.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
James, I know you like to add lights. I like to add lights
Yeah,
to these
yeah.
things. There's provisions there, and this motherboard is pre-regulated for LEDs, so it's already ready to go.
Oh, nice.
So all we do is this is the jumper board here. You're going to see this dummy board right here. We're just going to lift that off of this 21-pin motherboard. If I can get my fingers to cooperate. It's coming. There we go.
All right.
So now we take our circuit board off. We set that down. We throw it at the cat, whatever. Now we're going to take our 21-pin decoder. Now you want to make sure you install that with the black plastic header on the top.
Right.
I've had some people trying to put it in different ways, and
Yeah,
so we want to
yeah.
make sure it orients properly. And I think I bent a pin here, so bear with me as I try to straighten this up and get this decoder installed. This is one of the downsides of trying to do live television here and doing it without a table. But we're just going. I'm going to have to straighten this up here a little bit. It bent a little further than I thought. And there we go.
That's
I
all
think
right.
this
We'll-
is-
This is the first decoder installation ever on the show.
Live.
We'll edit
Yeah,
it all
live
out.
decoder installation here.
So
Look
that's
at
it.
that.
And the decoder's installed.
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Easy.
And so now there's going to be speaker terminals. I believe their speaker terminals are right here. They're labeled S plus and S minus. And then I did remove the weight. There's 2 screws that hold this weight in place, and that leaves you a nice place right here
Oh, yeah.
to drop in your 2 mini-cube speakers wired in series. And then just wire them to the S plus and S minus terminal, put the shell back on it, and you're done.
Now this is
That's
the
awesome.
this is the motherboard that comes standard with Athearn now. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. This is on their RTR line. This is the ready to roll line, and the ready to roll line does come with Economy, which is our budget sound system.
Mm-hmm.
And so this you get the non-sound versions of the RTR line, and you can upgrade to Tsunami 2, or you can get other brands out there and upgrade them to Tsunami 2 with a simple 21-pin. Or we do have some board replacement styles. And like I mentioned, you can buy those on our website at soundtracks.com and get free shipping direct to your house. So
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm telling you what, this is the first decoder installation ever
Yeah.
on the What's Neat This Week
Live.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming on to 26 minutes.
That's very cool.
Mike, you brought some freight cars over. Did you want to
Yeah.
briefly talk about those?
Oh yeah. We're not having any shows. We haven't had any shows for a while, and we're hoping that we'll have some this year. And in 2014, we had a really good RPM in St. Louis with weathering shop guys, Gary Christensen and Butch Eiler and Jeremy St. Peters. A bunch of guys came, and so Gary's been posting a lot of stuff this week about old weathering jobs we did. So this is the first car that really brought me out of the basement.
That's how I met you. I met you because that
yeah.
car appeared in Rail Model Journal, Mike.
Yeah, it was on
Really?
the cover.
Oh, wow.
cover
And
of
Bob
that.
Schleicher's like, you got to send me an article or I'm not going to introduce you to this guy. And I was like, you can't do that. I said,
Yeah.
you can't hold me hostage. But he let me meet you.
Yeah, but
remember that.
that's just a regular AccuRail covered hopper, and it was just a weathering contest.
Yeah,
and,
beautiful
job
job.
on camera
yeah.
work.
So
Good job, Daniel.
And then this Penn Central car has been in a lot of photographs too. A Conrail paint out roller job, and I think that was on another cover of Rail Model Journal, and that's kind of
beautiful.
one of my signature works. Then a little bit later, probably about 10 or 15 years ago, Joe Steinman and I had a little contest. We were weathering some Frisco boxcars, and this is the first time I ever tried wavy panels on the sides of a model. So, and then here's a couple with open doors. This one's got some freeloaders inside with their sleeping bags and stuff. I cut the side open and did that, and then this lumber car, that's actually a photograph of some stacks of lumber inside of a train car. And then here's another Conrail paint out in the back.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
I really
me.
like the open door box cars you have there and all the hobos that
yeah.
are camped out in the one. That's neat.
Yeah, you can do a lot of things just by opening up the door or buying, using a car that already has opening doors, just as long as you detail the floor and stuff.
Yeah, and the back
So-
side of the door too. That's
Right.
yeah.
Inside
Yeah.
and the other side.
There's
yes.
there's actually an article in this month's Model Railroad Hobbyist that should be coming out on Monday in the running extra portion where there's a guy that goes through the process of detailing a car interior.
Right.
So that'll
nice.
be pretty neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we got some NASA equipment on the table here from the space station, and although we are running out of time, I wanted to say that Brad McEwen, who lives here in St. Louis, came out here to share these models with us. Brad, can you just come out and wave to us here on the screen and just say hi to all the folks out there? Guys, best hobby in the world, George. We've covered everything on your end. Give me the WNTW free one more time. What's that product code?
Yeah,
That's it.
WNTW free, spelled out FREE, and it's all one word.
That's
All right.
awesome.
We'll get you free shipping on your orders at soundtracks.com.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go around the table. James Salmon. I love Salmon James at Sugarfire. I got Brad McEwen. I've got Joshua Sugarfire Barton. We've got our favorite George Bogatiuk out there
Bogatiuk.
waiting for snow in Durango. I've got my favorite Mike Budde. Daniel Coombs is running camera. Guys, this is the best hobby in the world with some of the best people in it. Check us out on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also look us up on Facebook. And so with that, guys, we're going to close out 149. Next week is show number 150. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go run some trains.
Let's do that. Let's run some trades. I got the wave in the camera. Yeah, you guys can hear the voice all the time, right?
Not the rest of